Hey everybody, it is Kathy with Backyard Columbus, and I'm outside in my backyard, in our backyard, and this is probably about the last set of episodes I'm going to be able to do in our backyard because it's getting chilly. It is the beginning of October, and then I'm going to have to go back inside. So that makes me kind of sad because I absolutely love doing these episodes outside. It just gives me another opportunity to be outside while I'm doing work that I need to get done. And so that actually leads me to today's episode topic, which is today is World Mental Health Day. And so this is mental health and your backyard. So I've done an episode about mental health a little bit, like the joys of your backyard. But today being World Mental Health Day, October 10th, 2024, I want to kind of target this a little bit more and I guess plead the case of how being outside, whether it's your front yard, backyard, side yard, balcony, or porch, it really does a body and a brain good. Your soul, your heart, whatever you want to call it, it is a whole lot of good stuff for you. And I would like to start with a quote that I'm going to have to read here from Maya Angelou because I think it's really perfect for what I'm talking about today. So from Maya Angelou, each person deserves a day away in which no problems are confronted, no solutions searched for. Each of us needs to withdraw from the cares which will not withdraw from us. And, that is, to be honest with you, what I love about being outside. It's what I love about gardening. And believe it or not, when I'm gardening, which means whether I'm weeding, whether I'm planting a seed, tending to any flower, vegetable, or anything else in my yard, I actually don't think about a thing. Now, I am very fortunate. I am not a worrier. Okay, so everybody's brain is not wired like that. And I am very grateful that my brain is not a worrying brain. But I am a thinker, so I think about ideas and things and stuff all of the time, not necessarily compulsively planning, just I think about a lot of stuff. But when I am gardening, I don't think about a thing. I think about the task at hand, and that is freeing. So I've probably never mentioned this before, but I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, okay? And what I'm obsessed with are the movies. I actually do not like to read, and I don't like to read fiction. I like to read articles, but I don't like to read a book, and certainly not fiction. I totally understand why people love to read fiction, but that's just not me. And I'm bringing this up because what I love about watching the movies, and you could say this for any well-done movie that you dig, is that it is like a mental escape. So you're not worrying or thinking about anything. You're just absorbing the movie, watching the movie, and enjoying it. So that's what I'm saying is that when I'm outside doing gardening, that's what I do, which is nothing. Like my brain is doing nothing, and all of us need that mental health break. One of the statistics that I saw in doing a tiny bit of research for this episode is 1 in 4 young people experience depression, anxiety, isolation, and suicidal ideation. I mean, look, that is a lot of people and a lot of young people. And look, whether it's young or old, your life has value. And that makes me sad for the people that are experiencing that. And I did not do any research on this before I'm going to say what I'm going to say right now, is that I wonder what those statistics were several years ago. What would you say, 2 decades ago, when everyone wasn't attached to their phones and gaming and watching the Kardashians and whatever other stupid reality TV show that people get obsessed with. And look, I'm not going to act like I don't watch TV because that's not true. I do. But the amount of time that we spend hooked on electronics, and yes, you are listening to my podcast on an electronic device, and I thank you for that. But, we're there. I read an article once, a very quick little thing, about how if you allow a child, there are some strict guidelines about how long you are supposed to let your little one, your little human, be attached to a device, whether it's the phone or the TV or whatever, because my takeaway, so if I got this wrong, please don't yell at me, it rewires their brain. Okay, and so I think about this. How is it possible that it can't rewire anybody's brain, young or old, just a little bit, if you are constantly on TikTok, Instagram, TV, or whatever? I mean, that has to do something that's not good, right? Even if it's just raising your anxiety level, and that's kind of a big deal. I mean, who wants to walk around anxiety-ridden all the time solely from the subjects that you are consuming. You know what I'm saying? Like TV, phone, gaming, or whatever. And so outside, like, eradicates that. Maybe not completely eradicates that. Look, if you have someone who is dying of a terrible disease, just because you went outside and looked at flowers, they are not all of a sudden going to be miraculously cured. Okay, so I am definitely not saying that. But how we process stress, how we process the terrible things, the sad things, the deadlines at work, the kids that are driving you crazy, your child with special needs that can be challenging at times. And look, even a kid without special needs can be extraordinarily challenging at times. But all of the things that get us down and aggravated and frustrated, you can eradicate quite a bit of that, or temper a lot of that by going outside. And so one of the things that I do is, after I'm finished at the end of the day, or have finished working out, because I do a lot of my workouts at night, I go for a walk around our cul-de-sac. So it's kind of like a hamster wheel. I don't even go anywhere very far. I just walk several loops around the cul-de-sac. And I remember we had a real snag in our family several years ago. And my daughter, the short of it is, the volleyball club that she was in closed. She was already committed to a college, and now on her senior year, she had no volleyball club to go to. So that was very stressful. And I thought, and all of the tryouts were finished. Okay. So I thought, oh my gosh, what on earth are we going to do? Like, she needs her hands on the ball. And so I walked around our cul-de-sac, I'm not kidding you, 30 times, but I arrived at an answer. And now, I do realize that's the polar opposite of what Maya Angelou's quote is saying. You need to be outside, or you need a day away to not think or worry or problem solve or anything like that. But I'll say, in conjunction with that, yes, that is very true. But being outside in the quiet, something that I have always told my daughter is, the answers come in the quiet. They do not come when you're attached to your phone or music or TV, because your brain is already thinking about something else. It's focused on what you're watching, listening to, or reading. It is not forming its own, it's not working through its own problems. And so outside is where you can do that, whether it's during the day, taking a stroll in the woods, walking around your yard, sitting in a quiet place, which I have encouraged all of us to have in another episode. Have a little spot that's just your own or your family's or whatever, but a spot you can go to and sit and relax and just think and be. Not to obsess about things, but maybe work something out, because that is quiet time where you can work things out. And I do not at all think that if you have clinical depression, definitely diagnosed anxiety, bipolar, things like that, I don't think, again, getting outside is going to make all those things go away, because I'm a huge proponent of, or I should say, a believer in mental health issues, a huge proponent of getting help for those issues. But anyone who goes outside, whether it's a human with or without problems, an animal, like cats, dogs, or whatever, like I'm saying, taking your dog for a walk, letting your cat go out back with you, like mine is sitting right next to me while I'm doing this podcast, because fresh air does your whole body good. And again, I've talked about this many times. It's shocking to me. I say shocking because I love our yard so much. I mean, I really do. I'm not trying to be melodramatic. We travel a lot, and I am very grateful for that. But we don't travel like every other month or every other week. So what are you going to do in between all the times where you travel? You have your house and your yard. And most people that I know don't go in their backyard at all. I mean, they might go on their patio and they have a beer, and that's groovy, and that is still outside, and that's great. And if that's your happy place, then that's groovy. But wouldn't it be awesome to have another place to take a stroll around the yard? I mean, when our grandkids come over, we don't have any toys, oddly. Maybe that makes me a bad grandparent, but every time I think about getting some toys, and we honestly don't see them on a regular basis enough to make that financially worth it, because by the time they come back, they're probably going to be over whatever toy they were into in the first place. But I'm bringing this up because what these kids love to do, and they're 4, 8, and 10, they love to go outside. They love to feed our chickens, and that's kind of an easy one, Every kid would love to do that. But they actually like to go in my greenhouse and spray the plants. And the 10-year-old leads the way on, let's go on an adventure in our yard. And so she just gets a basket, a pen and paper, and so a few other things to just go look at the things in our yard. And, their mom does a great job of getting them outside and all that kind of stuff. So perhaps they're a little bit more focused than the average kid. But the point is, you feel it in your heart and in your soul when you're outside and in a spot that makes you happy. And I would really strongly encourage you, if you've never done it before, you've never thought about before, maybe take a few minutes tonight and go sit on your patio or go sit on your front porch or take a walk down the street when no one else is out so your neighbor can't bother you, even if it's your best friend that's your neighbor. Go outside, take a little stroll where no one can bother you, and just think it through. Hey, is there a spot in my yard where I could create a nature space, plant some native flowers, plant a tree that we didn't have before, and bring some nature back into our yard and create a space where I can find a respite from the kids and my job and the busyness of life without my electronics. So what I am not saying is go into that spot and scroll TikTok, because that is kind of defeating the purpose. Go outside and listen to the birds. If it's at night, you can hear katydids, you can hear crickets. I mean, it's really, there are hardcore statistics on hearing nature sounds, how it lowers your blood pressure, how it makes you a little less stressed. And listen, a little less stressed is worth it to me. I don't want to be more stressed. I'd like to be less stressed. So I'm encouraging you to think all that through. And that's really all I have to say about that. So on this World Mental Health Day, I want to tell you that you are worth all of the time that you would put into figuring out how to make yourself happier, because you all by yourself, that's worth it. But if you're a mom and you're a wife, it's going to make you a better wife. It's going to make you a better partner. It's going to make you a better mom, even if what you are is a cat or dog mom or a fish mom or whatever kind of mom you are. But even just you as a regular old human, it's worth putting the time into making your life happier and less stressful. So on that note, I thank you a lot for tuning in. I hope you'll share this podcast. Shoot me in an email or message me with any questions or suggestions you have, and have an amazing day.